Oh. Hey. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Strange Happenings.
Yo.
It's been a week or so before since we did a Strange Happening, so it's good to be back in studio.
Yeah.
I am your host, Mikey, and I'm always the co-host, the bro host, Bub.
Hello.
And behind the scenes, as always, Stoner, and we do have Sir Bro of Diz.
Rocking it.
Making everything sound great. And Stoner's making everything look great.
Yep.
So we appreciate the hell out of those guys. And what's up, y'all, in the chat? Flutz, Born Not to Run, Necro, we see you guys. We have a great episode, I think, tonight.
Yeah,
we've got a diverse collection of things to go over tonight.
Yeah.
As always, we want to thank. One thing I wanted to mention is we've been asking for people to review our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah.
And they have been coming out in droves.
Knocking it out.
Yeah. We have quite a few reviews now.
Nice.
So super happy to see that. Thank you to
guys
everybody
and
that sent us a 5-star review. You guys are beautiful. That's amazing stuff. But it's good to be back in studio, dude.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a busy last couple weeks
virtual
in Florida.
From the
It's
beach.
been about 3 weeks for me.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Last week we had a few shoots. Had a awesome shoot, a 3-day event that we covered, and then did a live stream for them.
Yeah.
And then covered a bunch of different. We were kind of popping all over town with a little dot crew. Shout out to all the guys that helped us out with that: Ryan Laverne, Cody, Stoner's little brother, and then Shawnee G, and Rich, and Dan, and Eric. All those guys killed it. And then we had a virtual event last week as well. So we were just kind of piled up with gigs and pretty awesome opportunities. And then I was out at Ohio Stadium throwing the jib around with TJ.
Yeah.
The last couple of days.
Yeah, you've been busy.
Yeah, and we should probably do a little bit better job of letting people know when we had some
folks that were concerned doing what I like to call as a wellness check, just to make sure that we were still around and kicking as a show, and we are. And I think we tried to put out just a couple like small things on like Twitter and what have you, but we knew it wasn't going to be much longer than like a week or so.
Yeah.
But we we'll try to be good about being upfront about, hey, we're going to take a small break, and I expect, people will tune out for a bit and then, probably remember that we're coming back. But wonderful to see everybody jumping in and
Stoner's dad and mom. Look at that. Yeah. We got awesome. Robin, what's happening?
That's great.
Stoner's dad, Burton, what's happening?
Local legends.
Yep. Shout out to all you guys. Who else is in there?
Firing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. But thanks to everybody that's listening, everybody in YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. And I'm good to go. You want to get started?
Ready to rock?
Yeah, let's do this.
We start off pretty explosive. Well, not explosive, I guess, but cattle mutilations in Texas here recently. They had mysterious death of 6 cattle, and always ties back to, is this UFOs? Is this extraterrestrials? What's going on? But I just love the headline in quote says, quote, something strange is happening.
Clearly.
So we had to put that one in here. But cattle mutilations, been around for a long time. But the article, just to paraphrase, goes on to say that the mysterious death of 6 cattle in Texas has led to speculation about UFO activity. So the ranch owner and a veterinarian who examined the cattle are both puzzled by the deaths, and some locals believe that they may be linked to a strange light or set of lights that had been seen in the area. So Madison County Sheriff's Office released a statement last week saying on 2 of the 5 cows, quote, circular cuts were made removing the anus and the external genitalia.
Damn.
This circular cut was made with the same precision as the cuts noted around the jaw lines of each cow.
Well, these were huge in the 90s. Cattle Mutilations was on 60 Minutes, hard copy, you name it.
Linda Moulton Howe is like one of the most renowned researchers.
And
on
a lot
so
of it was in Arizona, New Mexico, Skinwalker Ranch, of course.
Yeah.
Always had cattle mutilations connected. But, all of a sudden cattle mutilations are happening again. Maybe they never stopped.
Well,
but
crazier part, they said there was no disturbance. It didn't look like there was a struggle with the cattle. Nothing looked disturbed. There were no footprints or tire tracks, noted in the area.
Now, if your genitalia and anus is being laser cut with precision, you think there'd be a bit of disturbance?
I'm thinking they're getting just tranked.
Damn, dude. Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Beamed up and just hypnotized or tranked.
That too, or just tranquilized, yeah. I mean.
And then just plop back down.
Yeah, well, like say, okay, in Missing 411, the UFO connection where the hunters talk about elk being lifted off these mountains.
Oh, God, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's eyewitness accounts of this stuff,
wasn't there a cow, too?
I don't know.
Or wasn't an elk?
I think it was an elk being lifted off of
Yeah.
or a sheep or something like that, like something that was just roaming wild.
Yeah.
But cattle mutilations, they have been around for a long time. But this also ties into the whole, like, is there that whole agreement with the Greys that we made that they're allowed to take so many humans and
the DNA,
and animals every year?
Yeah.
They don't abide by this pact, and we've kind of let
Eisenhower.
loose. Yeah.
Eisenhower's pact, 54 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, like you said, the cattle mutilations have been around for a long time. They were really popular. I won't say popular, but maybe more reported on. Because I don't see that many articles talking about this anymore. Or is it just something where people just don't report it anymore?
It could be. Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff, you don't hear about people getting abducted as much either. Like abductee stories.
Okay, here's the thing. What's
like
the
explanation?
If it's not something, and I won't even say it's aliens, maybe it's just, maybe it's black ops training for military programs. Who the fuck knows, right? Yeah. Whatever it is. Why are you going down, and why is your objective to laser cut the anus and genitalia and the face, and why the certain areas I think would be interesting as far as like a categorization? Why those? Why was such...
It's always like the eyes, around the lips, like the sides of their faces will be precision cut.
Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I mean,
what's the take from that? Like, okay, it's tissue, but
harvesting DNA, harvesting tissue samples. If they're studying, they've got big giant laboratory somewhere up in a mothership somewhere where they're just nabbing all kinds of people and cattle and fox and whatever kind of animals, elk.
Yeah. I don't know, doing some type of research.
Well, we do the
or
same
maybe
thing.
they're just taking care of the zoo. Maybe they're just making, pruning and checking in on the health. And
yeah.
Anywho, well, I'm sure we'll have more of these articles to come in, the next few years, weeks, months, what have you. Like, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Am I doing this next one too, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So next one we have is kind of like following the theme of the whole Last of Us. It's fairly popular right now if you haven't watched that, but it's a wild article from ScienceAlert.com that says plant fungus infects human in first reported case of its kind. So, and what researchers suggest is the first reported case of its kind. A 61-year-old Indian mycologist appears to have contracted a rather serious disease. Serious case of silverleaf disease in his own throat, providing a rare example of a pathogen seemingly making an enormous leap across entire kingdoms in the tree of life. He visited a medical center with a cough and a hoarse voice, fatigue, and difficulty swallowing. So he did a CT, X-ray scan of his neck, and they revealed a pus-filled abscess next to his trachea. Oh, God. So lab tests failed to find any bacteria of concern, but a special staining technique for fungi revealed the presence of long, root-like filaments called hyphae. Though a mycologist himself, the patient couldn't recall having worked with this particular species recently. His fieldwork had brought him into contact with decaying material and other plant fungi, potentially explaining the source of his infection. So while bacterial species of superbug and novel viruses emerging from animal populations regularly get our attention, we rarely give much thought to plant disease in our midst. That's wild. Mm-hmm. That's the whole premise of Last of Us, dude.
Yeah.
That fungus can infect humans, and then it does. Like,
in that show, it's a rogue cordyceps, right?
But is this the soft disclosure? We need like an alert, like when there's soft disclosure, like Jay from the Smithsonian.
Well, fungus is alien. They think the spores
True.
hitched a ride on asteroids. So
I wouldn't doubt it.
Probably the oldest alien on Earth is certain forms of fungus.
It's a wild
Their
thought.
spores can live in any kind of condition. Superheat, extreme cold. The spores just like, if they're down in a crack in a meteor, they can go and land on a planet and just start, if there's moisture, whatever it needs to live.
Well,
But it's the most robust life form.
Think about that tying into the McKenna stuff of like the stoned ape theory and things like that, though, of like, if you want to accelerate a species, you send this
Neurochemical.
fungus, this intelligent species of fungus
Yeah.
that can come here and live. And like you're saying, I mean, that's a intergalactic FedEx package that you can ship just about anywhere.
Or a fungus that you eat and then you can go meet the aliens,
That too.
which we'll get into that.
We'll get down the road on that one too. Yeah, I mean, but that's interesting because, I think we're just finding out so much right now about mycology, the study of mushrooms in general.
Yeah.
On the psychedelic and therapeutic side of it, but also just on the other side of just fungus and its actual ecosystem of how it operates, how it builds, how it grows, how it communicates.
Mycelium networks sending
it's really
information
interesting.
chemically to
Telling you,
tree roots.
you're going to get one of these
and
helmets
it's
that
the
when you
World
put it
Wide
on,
Web.
it's just like this big
It's
jelly
the
wet
internet.
helmet, and you're going to put on this mushroom helmet.
Well, Paul Stamets has a mushroom helmet.
But it's going to like connect you to a supercomputer in the future.
Oh.
You're going to like talk to this mushroom entity.
Right. Well, we're inching in that direction. I mean,
Going to look like one of the guys from Spaceballs with
that's
one of
a
those big
film that
helmets
hasn't
on.
been done yet.
What's that?
That movie that you're talking about.
Let's go there.
Well, that premise that you're talking about, that's a movie that hasn't been made.
Let's do like Noah,
Mushroom
but the
AI
intergalactic.
computer.
We'll do like the intergalactic arc. We'll have to get 2 Sasquatch on there, 2 Mothmen. It'll be the intergalactic arc of cryptids flown by the mushroom wet computer.
3 O-ring Pandac.
Well, you need.
Because they're so small. We can fit a couple more on. Just saying. You can't leave O-ring out of the picture.
Forgot about O-ring Pandac. Sorry, put a couple of him on there too. But yeah, fungus is in the news a lot lately. That's what I guess I'm trying to get at too, and not just in one avenue. It's in so many different disciplines and
It's the biggest health
and
craze right
research.
now. The biggest health
Huge.
craze with reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane.
Yep.
People are selling these mushroom blends and mushroom coffee.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
really
it's
popular.
really, really good. I mean, I have the sacred mushroom powder that you can put on just about anything, and you start taking that stuff for a month or so, you feel sharp mentally.
Yeah,
It does. There's something about that
kinda
with
tunes you up,
focus. Yeah.
tightens everything up a little bit.
Yep.
I agree.
But it's like anything. You got to get on a habit of taking it all the time.
Right.
Hey, I see Tim, Bigfoot influencers.
Yeah.
What's up, Tim?
What's happening?
Hey, Jay Lamb. What's happening, dude?
Maybe they just want a good steak.
That's awesome. Anything else on this one?
No, that is the finality. You are on deck.
All right, let's do this.
Well, these were huge in the 90s.
Whoa, is that me?
Mutilations was on
Yeah, that was me.
What happened?
I don't know.
That was weird.
Was that me talking?
I don't even know how you did that. That was cool.
It was a podcast, I think, that I had open. So we got scientists finally solved the mystery of how the Mayan calendar works. This is a Popular Mechanics article. The Mayan calendar 819-day cycle has confounded scholars for decades, but new research shows how it matches up to planetary cycles over a 45-year span. That's a much broader view of this tricky calendar than anyone previously tried to take. Two Tulane University scholars highlighted how researchers never could quite explain the 819-day count calendar until they broadened their view. Although prior research has sought to show planetary connections for the 819-day count, its 4-part color directional scheme is too short to fit well within the synodic periods of visible planets, the study authors write, by increasing the calendar's length to 20 periods of 819 days, a pattern emerges in which the synodic period of all the visible planets commensurate with station points in the larger 819-day calendar. While ancient Mayan culture offered various calendar types, the one that baffled scholars the most was the 819-day calendar discovered in glyphic texts. Researchers have long believed that this calendar was associated with the planetary movements, especially the synodic periods, when a planet appears visually to return to the same location in the sky as it's seen from Earth, of key points on the planets. Now, however, each planet moves quite differently, and matching up multiple planets into an 819-day span didn't seem to make much sense. But it does when you look at it over 16,380 day, which is roughly 45 years, not just the 819 day. That's a total of 20 819-day timelines. Now, that's the wobble. That's the precession of the equinox. They marked that calendar was like the 16,000 day calendar.
Okay.
So they have, you see pictures of that Mayan calendar.
Yeah.
And it looks like wheels, like cogs in a wheel. Like the big one spins the smaller one.
Right.
And the way that they have
It's like a celestial,
it's like a
motor.
4D calendar
Yeah.
that's tracking super, super, super long periods of time. Like the precession of the equinox. Sorry, that's like thousands of years, not 14,000 days. That's my bad. But that's like the long count is tracking. Like, how did they track thousands of years in a calendar? And the way that the glyphs kind of line up and how all of these calendars come together, that's where, all the predictions of being able to predict things. Mm-hmm. And those Mayan astronomers, astrologers were just, you're talking about 4D chess versus playing, Connect 4.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
Like, you're not even playing
That's
checkers.
what I'm saying. But that's where it's like maybe, how sometimes people can just look at things and they understand the patterns in a different way. And maybe they are seeing it in different almost dimensions of time.
But how long you got to look at the sky to see that, the planet
I don't know.
all
because
the
I don't
way
know.
back around. Here's Saturn again. And it's in this
Right, but I don't know.
819 day.
I don't know because I don't know how it actually goes on tracking that. But do you need to watch the entire
that's all
procession
they
to be
were
able
doing.
to calculate the movements of it? Or could you say it was here and then it was here?
You don't.
And I
right.
know that
nobody could live 16,000 years.
that's what I'm saying. So
14,000
somehow
years,
they're looking at that and they're able to,
yeah.
or it's passed down, and a lot of that knowledge is oral tradition history, and then like say with like the spirals, and the serpents and different archaeoastronomy calendars, like Heather talked about in the episode, like Jeff talks about with Serpent Mound.
Yeah.
A lot of different areas, and this kind of goes to that as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of obsession with time. We do it now,
Ours is so basic compared to ancient
Does that ever-
astrologers and astronomers and people
but
that were.
Does that ever blow your mind? Where did it come that?
Why did we settle on the Gregorian calendar?
Why did we settle on needing to track time? What?
Well, if time's an illusion, and
It
you got to get,
is.
because you got to be productive. You got to get work done. You got to get shit done. You got to build freaking pyramids. You got to know what time to milk the cows. You got to know what time to plow the fields. You got to know what time it is for dinner, supper.
Okay. In that essence, I agree.
Clock in for work. Now we use
I'm
time
saying-
as a way to basically distract ourselves.
That's what I'm saying.
I
So we used to
constantly have
use
to
it.
go, like right now, I better get going because I got to go pick up my kids from school or,
Right,
you
but
know.
that's what I'm saying. Like, but it used to be, say, if you needed to know, I'm going to use Native Americans in the U.S. as an example of, you need to know when herds are moving. They had the story we did about the cave art, where it was like tracking herds and stuff. They figured it out.
yeah.
Or the amateur archaeologist, the guy was like a woodworker. He figured out that like they were tracking them and figuring out when they were having babies and this and that and everything. So I get that of like, you need to know that time. But Native Americans weren't sitting around like, oh shit,
No,
it's
that's
7
what I'm
o'clock.
saying. It's a modern day
Gotta go get to the hut and start.
And I think a lot
get
of
to
it
the teepee.
boils down to the creation, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
Sure.
Where we got to get to our job at the factory.
Right.
Were there factories before that? No.
Punch that clock.
People weren't punching clocks and going
Yeah.
to work. People didn't have jobs.
Right.
Your job was living. Hey, you want to live today? Yes. Let's
Well,
go.
You got to make
get
enough
food.
money to live, right?
Let's go make warm clothes. Let's go make a house. We got to get over here, over top of this ridge, because, you know, that's where the deer are. That's where the elk are.
Right.
You know, you're not sitting there going, oh, I need to pay my taxes to the IRS.
No.
That's just going to, you know, where does the money, you work and work and work. And
We've been talking about
it's literally
so much lately.
Well, it's literally just a giant distraction to just keep everybody productive, making shit.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We make things. Human beings make things.
Yeah.
We're like on a large scale, like
Well,
you know,
and we
a
also
worker
make
ant,
stuff. We build stuff to fail.
but we're compelled to make shit. Why is that? We make all kinds of things. And then
I think
as you
it's
go
the
down
belief
that
that
line,
we're that intelligent that we, you know, it's like the
Then you gotta have-
manifest destiny of humanity in a certain way of like, we're just so smart. We're the only things capable of building these rocket ships. And it's like, do we need to?
well, that's what we should be putting more effort into is how do we figure out intergalactic travel?
I would say before we go to
spending
another planet and possibly
crazy
just
amounts of money
pollute
on
the shit out of it,
fucking wars
that
and
we
shit.
figure out how to live on this planet before we go screw up another one.
Right. Well, we're going to have to get off planet.
You know what I
because
mean?
we're going to completely destroy this one.
It'd be like somebody where you're like, hey, look,
Because of the industrialization.
it's the whole thing of this is why we can't
Of the
have nice
planet.
things type sentiment.
Right.
This is why we can't have nice
And
things.
the aliens are here to make sure that we don't blow each other up right now.
And possibly go off and, you know, repopulate and make more trouble. I think that's part of it, is they're kind of like the bouncers of the universe and the galaxy going, hey, you guys better get yourselves in order before you start settling elsewhere. Because there's all the, I won't say reports, but all the stories about when the Apollo missions were landing at the Sea of Tranquility, and they're like, there are things that were waiting for us there already.
Oh, yeah.
There were
for sure.
There were, ships waiting in that crater,
Yep.
like basically a welcoming
Yeah.
party.
Like we've been here.
Yeah.
There's bases up there.
Which is why supposedly they never went back too.
Yeah.
Or if they ever went, that's another.
We're
that's
getting
another article.
we're
I
getting
know.
off track a little bit, but it's
I know.
fun.
I derailed
Hey,
it.
we haven't done an episode in a while. We got to talk a little shit.
He said rectum.
So she quotes, rather than limit their focus to any one planet, the author writes, the Maya astronomers who created the 819-day count envisioned it as a larger calendar system that could be used for predictions
Hello.
of all the visible planets in synodic periods.
There you go.
So, to wrap that one up, the Mayans were so legit when it came to, and they weren't, again, they're not tracking time like we do. We use time to go to work and to do dumb shit. They were tracking time to, expand the understanding of their knowledge of the cosmos.
I think we're
using
understanding
time
their movement
to go to work
through
and
the universe.
Get your kids to school on time.
Yeah.
And we've boiled and have clocks everywhere. They're not sitting around. The Mayans aren't sitting around
We
going,
try to
"Oh, it's
control
5:30."
everything. Right.
They're
try to
more
control
interested
everything.
in a 14,000 year cycle that the Earth wobbles for some reason. That interested them more than, and again, you're being present. You're involved in this super advanced astrology and astronomy, and those guys were expanding their culture. They were, through being completely obsessed with whatever they were doing, they were
Right.
getting to an advancement level, and maybe that was helping them understand building and geometry, and they were able to build all the pyramids. Maybe their understanding of the calendars and being obsessed was able to really push forward their civilization as a whole. I don't know.
I would think if you're
A
that
moron.
highly intelligent
knows?
with that aspect of life, with just using basic visual aid, as
Well,
far
there's
as we
no
know,
lights.
as far as we
So
know,
you could just stare at the sky.
I know, but
I mean,
it
and-
still takes a little bit of figuring out.
Oh, I mean, yeah. of
I would
course.
think maybe not,
But that's all they
maybe it
did.
was so bright that like literally, you know how you see
It
those
had to
time lapse
be.
photos where like the horizon just rolls over and they're like, right there, that rock, set that up because that star hits right there. That aligns with it on this day for some reason, and this day is when this happens. So
Yeah.
let's mark that star.
Have you ever seen the Southern Cross when you're in Southwest
I did.
or Arizona? It's really, really wild.
No, I saw it in New Zealand.
In New Zealand?
I had to-
Interesting.
Well, I saw an entirely different night sky in New
You
Zealand.
can't see the Southern Cross in Ohio.
No.
But if you go to New Mexico,
I didn't know that.
I went to the bathroom at Chaco Canyon in the campground
Did you come out
late
what the
night,
hell?
and I had my headlamp on, and I went like this, and on the canyon wall is a petroglyph of the Southern Cross. And I turned around, and sure as shit, it was perfectly aligned with that petroglyph right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I
There
was
you
like,
go.
That's
Pointing this way. It's just like going to
it was
a
right, perfectly aligned, dude.
Yeah. It's cool. That's a cool constellation too.
It is.
I mean, it's really wild.
And you notice it, and you're like, I've never. But it's very, very like almost like seeing the Big Dipper here in Ohio,
Sure.
which is part of Draco.
Very iconic. Yeah.
But the Southern Cross like that
Absolutely.
down there,
is.
where it
Yeah.
just kind of blows your mind.
I
It's-
forgot about that. Now you say that because that's when I first bought my camera and I was doing a lot of like long exposure time lapse and I would just
Right.
set it and point it straight up at the sky. And I
Yeah.
mean, we were up at like a dark
That's
sky
fun, isn't it?
preserve but just the constellations and the bodies of not only that, seeing like I think they were called like dark star nebulas or whatever they were because I was looking at a telescope when we were
like
at this reserve.
clouds of
It was a cloud
plus-
of black,
yeah,
basically,
yeah,
and there
yeah.
was nothing there, no light. And she was like, "Oh yeah, well this is what this is." The guide. I was like, I'm
dark
like,
matter.
yeah,
something.
It was something like that. I could not remember, but that was cool. Like they had these laser pointers, man. That you can get some of those that are so powerful they'll like pop a balloon. They're
Oh,
that
yeah,
hot,
yeah,
like
yeah.
they'll pop it. So like she'd whip this laser pointer out, look big green lights.
yeah.
Be like looked like she was touching the stars with it, just like this.
Right.
They're Sirius, and here's like that's
Sirius
so
is cool. Sirius is cool.
It was neat.
Because you can see Sirius A and Sirius B. The Sirius is the dog constellation, but within that is the cluster of several stars, which is Sirius A and Sirius B, which the Dogon knew about for thousands of years before we
Right.
actually discovered it with a telescope.
Right.
It's a really wild, and I don't think you can see Sirius from Ohio. You got to move for that one. Anyways, we'll move on.
Go for it.
The next one, archaeologists have uncovered, so this is archaeonews.net. Archaeologists have uncovered the first human representations of the people of mythical Tartessos.
Never even heard of Tartessos.
Tartessos.
Is it Tartessos? Tessos.
Tessos? Tessos.
I've never heard of it.
Well, archaeologists representing the Spain's National Research Council excavating the sites of Casas del Turunello have uncovered the first human representations of the ancient Tartessos people. Given the scarcity of the Tartessian archaeological finds thus far, the ancient society is shrouded in mystery. The Tartessians are thought to have lived in southern Iberia, which is modern-day Andalusia and Extremadura, regards as one of the earliest Western European civilizations and possibly the first to thrive in the Iberian Peninsula. First appeared in late Bronze Age, and they're distinguished by the use of the now extinct language known as Tartessian. The Tartessos people were skilled in metallurgy, metalworking. They created ornate objects and decorative items. Here's some right here. This, I guess it's a ceremonial mask or something. And in the 4th century BC, the Greek historian Ephorus described it as a prosperous civilization centered on the production and trade of tin, gold, and other metals. So they were metallurgists. That's really cool. Thought to be around 2,500 years old. The 5 busts were discovered damaged, but 2 of which maintain a degree of detail. And the first, and I guess those are it right there, which maintain a great degree of detail, are the first human and facial representations of the Tartessian people that the modern world has ever seen. A team from Meridia's Institute of Archaeology believes 2 of the busts discovered in what is thought to be a shrine or a pantheon represent Tartessian goddesses, despite the fact that Tartessian religion was previously thought to be Ananionic, which is opposed to the use of idols or images. Archaeologists believe that the 2 goddesses, along with the 3 other sculptures that were significantly more damaged, were part of a stone mural depicting 4 deities watching over Tartessian warrior as the one is the one that's defaced bust as a helmet. So pretty neat.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah, nice
I love
little
to see
short
stuff
one
like
there.
that.
But yeah, that's that one. The next one we have is DMT users are using AI to draw the strange beings they meet while tripping. And we kind of touched on this a little bit when we were talking about mapping DMT worlds. And this is kind of piggybacking off that article we did. And this is a Vice.com article. And so there's a bunch of photos here you can kind of see. And, you know, a lot of people are seeing these same kind of entities. Some people call them the angels, you know, are they aliens?
Right.
Are they
Right.
some kind of they can't be coming from your own mind if these, yeah, see, this is kind of like the Joker type imagery.
Oh,
or
wow.
a lot of people see these kind of, like Shane Mouse, the comedian. I don't know if I talked
Looks
about,
like the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
yeah, I don't know if I talked about Shane
Jesus.
Mouse, but he did a documentary where he basically just like tripped for a whole month
Yeah.
and was rubbing like Syrian rue all over his skin,
Jesus.
which is an MAOI inhibitor.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't able to, like, his body was holding in all of the things he was taking, and it wasn't, you know, like coming out of his pores. So he would see this kind of like this type of being here in this photo that Stone has up, which is kind of like this purple gypsy woman.
Yeah.
But it was a reoccurring entity, which a lot of people have reported this being as well. So is it coming from you? If other people are seeing it too, that's always the thing that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Are you creating it or is it actually there?
And there's worlds like the Crystal Palace that a lot of people report on. So in a new report by the Center of Psychedelic Research at Imperial College London, covering the extended state DMT trips where intravenous DMT infusion keeps participants in the DMT world for longer than a normal trip. Entity encounters became frequent in 10 minutes into the infusion. The same university previously published a paper based on thousands of entity encounters, finding the most interactions to be positive, involving benevolent, comforting, protecting, and outwardly caring interactions. Similarly, at Johns Hopkins, the even committed atheists reported encountering autonomous entities in interactions with oozed joy, trust, love, and kindness. Now a veteran psychedelic researcher associated with MAPS, David J. Brown, has teamed up with artist Sarah Finn to catalog these entities in a new field guide, like an interdimensional kind of cryptozoology. That is incredible to me. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that want to report the I want to call them people. I don't know what else you can really call them. They seem to be alive. And not only that, but reports of people actually, when your thoughts, a certain thought enters into the experience, it responds back and will feed back to you of maybe something that you needed to change about yourself.
Right.
Maybe you're only thinking about yourself and your ego's too inflated, and, you know,
Right.
They'll make fun of you and make you feel
Kind of
foolish.
put you in your place.
Yeah.
Give you a reset.
Right. But, you know, for the most part, people have these positive experiences.
That's wild.
And so self-aware iron orbs, creatures with swappable Lego-like limbs, and machine elves consistently of interacting geometric patterns. These are just a few inexplicable beings reported by people who have taken NN dimethyltryptamine, which is kind of your standard DMT. Then there's also the other, which is 5-MeO, which is
Right.
typically found in the Sonoran desert frog, but
Yeah.
it's
The
synthesized. But that's just like pure white geometry. There's like nothingness. People report basically
speak to that, yeah.
like you're dead. There is no visuals. There is just nothingness. And then out of that, a sense of oneness. but you kind of go into
Yeah.
a void, which can really freak people out.
You know what I think is always interesting to me is how they say, like, so it's like DMT, and when you die, like your body flooding with
does.
that. But okay, so if you take it to that effect and then say what we know about it is that it, warps the perception of time. So when somebody's passing away, that might feel like a lifetime.
Right.
So you hear people that are
They live their whole
on the
life
table,
again.
like being shocked back to life, or they're
Rello.
clinically dead
Rello, come
and
lay
they
down,
come back
buddy.
to life. They talk about how, in that period of time, some of them, it feels like they lived a whole life, or they lived their whole
Right.
life over almost. Like they could look at all their memories and
Right.
do all this weird stuff, and it's like, is that what's happening?
You're just getting your brain.
You're just dosing yourself
produces
with
it.
DMT.
We know
It's-
that now.
right? Your body's
As
flooding
Terrence
you with
McKenna
this chemical.
says, we're all holding.
Anybody that wants to understand that,
DMT
just
is
think
illegal,
about having a dream.
but we're all holding, dude.
Right.
It's right here.
Right. Just think about when you have a dream. You can't control that. You can't control what's going to happen when your body is flooding. Like, that's wild.
Yeah. When you're born, when you're dreaming, and when you die, supposedly your brain produces it from the pineal gland. They've studied it in rats.
That's wild.
Rats have very similar brain chemistry, and as we do, they found it in the pineal gland in rats. It's some people think the pineal gland. I mean, if you walk around Rome, there's giant statues of these pine cones and weird shit like that you'll see in Maya. You'll see these pine cones in Rome. You'll see them in Egypt. But they're depicting the pineal gland.
That's what that is?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I
it's
didn't know
a
that.
sacred symbol. It's be perceived as a pine cone
Okay.
is the symbol of it. But really, what they're telling you is that this is the sacred gland that brings you into the spirit world.
All right.
It's always been very, very highly regarded. And some people think that maybe the pineal gland or that part of our brain actually had a lens on it. There was actually the third eye was actually like lizards or reptiles have lenses on
right.
their pineal gland.
Called a nictating membrane.
So maybe at one time, but ours has kind of gotten smaller and smaller. Now it's just kind of this little thing.
Well, and the diet and the foods we eat, and if you got, I don't know, fluoride in the water is supposed to, whatever, to calcify your pineal gland over. Like,
Yep, that's the
there's
old
that whole thought,
conspiracy theory of
of
it.
like, it's intentionally like kind of dumbed down, maybe kind of like the Hollow Sky with the whole like the pyramid of consciousness suppression.
The Black Pyramid, yeah.
Yeah. So look at that in another sense of if we do have this innate ability that we just kind of mute or dull by what we ingest. I mean, it's an easy way of doing it.
Yep. Shut yourself down.
Yeah. Maybe
so-
that's why I'm not a big water guy.
Maybe. So this says that people would see weird stuff when they trip is not exactly surprising, but it's remarkable is the regularity with which some of these strange characters appear. David, part of the problem is people going in and out of the experience so quickly. Even though the experience can be sometimes seem like it lasts forever, the peak is usually only 5 to 10 minutes. So it's very hard to have an extended conversation with these beings. I think that with the extended state studies are going to allow for longer communication, as it isn't really even possible to have an in-depth conversations with these beings from vaping and breaking up with a breakthrough dose. A breakthrough dose is 3 giant hits, essentially. Maybe they'll be able to teach us how to create time machines, starships, warp drives, or other undreamed or technologies that will then become obvious that they have an independent existence. In terms of our book, we ask people, what did they tell you in their communications? Usually it's a few sentences at most that we receive in their not long conversations. So, a lot of people think, this is how religions start. Moses in the burning bush, the acacia bush, had tons of DMT in that area. The acacia bush naturally holds DMT. Was the burning bush a psychedelic experience where God's speaking to him through this crazy visual, this whole thing's happening up on this mountain?
I would think somebody in that time and era, if they were succumbing to something of that nature of hallucinogenic power, might
Ezekiel
interpret that as
and the
God.
wheel. Exactly.
Right.
So how many of these
I mean,
things
that's
do
what
you
was
read
happening
about?
during the hippie movement, right? Like everybody was taking hallucinogens and having like religious experiences.
Yeah.
And then they kind of went over the line, and then
They went a bit too far.
I
Tune
think
in,
alley
turn
cats
on.
started going missing in San Francisco and stuff. Like it got wild.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of meth that was rolling into the streets, too.
Jesus.
People were getting a little loose with it. But, yeah, I mean, with anything, it's got to be. I think the way that psychedelic research is heading now is going to put us in a better place. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you're going to have those same mistakes as the 60s where, I'll straight up tell kids, like, you don't want to go to a big festival or a big concert and just eat a bunch of acid and eat a bunch of mushrooms and just lose your gourd. Like, people, we know folks that have done that and people that have.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah. And
it's like saying, I'm going to drink an entire bottle of tequila. You don't want to do it.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend
But there's the more information, the safer it'll be.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Especially
Instead of
they're
keeping it locked down.
They're keeping this. These studies are really, really interesting because, man, some of these long form trips. I'm really interested to see what comes out of this.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just an area that they're continually kind of pushing on, and that forefront keeps growing as things keep getting approved. And we've got Australia now with is it psilocybin and MDMA therapeutic studies. There's work being done in the U.S. I want to say in Canada, like some of the more.
Johns Hopkins. I mean, everybody's studying.
I just think that medicine's at that level where they're ready to take a turn, and in two fashions.
The pharmaceutical industry is a
fashions.
joke, and everybody knows it.
Well,
now.
I think with I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
You're not going to see big companies go quietly.
Depression, anxiety, all these issues just get worse and worse, and suicide. It's like you as a culture, you can't let some giant corporations like the pharmaceutical industry hold that back from a suffering culture. Something has to give. And I think that's what you're seeing here is that light is just trying to burst through.
So do you think that people are going to finally realize like we got to stop sucking at being humans?
I mean, we just need to provide help to people that are struggling.
This is what I'm
COVID
saying, though.
Kicked off so much. People that were on the edge of losing their shit during COVID.
Oh yeah,
and they were just right there in at the beginning of 2020, and are just barely holding on. Then that happens, dude. That's like pushing you off a mountain.
I said that when COVID happened. Because I was like, man, I'm in a good position. I have a job.
Couldn't get drug treatment.
I can pay my bills.
Go to meetings.
I'm still working, all of that. I didn't have a lot of the concerns. So I told my wife that when COVID first kicked off. I was like, that thought was just like snapped in my head. I was like, man, shit's going to get wild.
Yeah,
we're
seeing a lot of the repercussions of mental health issues. And like we were talking about with Ron Holgado, the parachute people, his mission of spreading positivity and fun and raising awareness for mental health and just getting people together and playing with the parachute. And, people like him right now are invaluable. And it just, like I said, there's some kind of energy that's trying to push all this stuff through because it needs to happen. Our society is really struggling, dude.
Yeah.
And people need some help. And these things can help a lot of people, but the research isn't even close to being. I mean, you're years off, dude.
They locked it down for so long.
Where you're going to have therapy places in Oregon. You can go do shamanic ceremonies and stuff like that in Costa Rica and in Mexico,
right? Like
with our friend Amel,
right?
You can go book an ayahuasca retreat and go to Peru, and there's Native American churches. There are options in the U.S. to do this, but if you're a person that's like, I'm not really sitting with a shaman and doing this isn't really my thing, but someone that wants to sit down in more of a I don't even want to call it a professional setting, but going into like a doctor's office.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
You know what I mean?
That'll be
the shamanic thing isn't for everybody, and that's kind of what's available now. But if you have actual places where you can go in and get this, therapy and help, it's just gonna
There's more
be a
than one
slow
way to
roll.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. I mean,
Dude, our culture will change. You know it will.
yeah, I would say so.
People having availability to take psychedelics, the whole culture is going to change when it becomes mainstream. I mean, hopefully
Well,
the AI doesn't take over
see.
by then.
Well, yeah.
And Chat GPT Furbies aren't like
That might be the only way to
Cracking the
reconnect
whip.
with being human after we all get brain implants with chips. We'll
Right.
just turn those off and everybody will just dose on mushrooms and reconnect with being human, and then we'll turn back on our AI brain and we'll go back off to flying around the galaxies.
right. I mean,
That's kind of like the whole Westworld.
for anybody that wants to
Westworld
move
does
into a
that
digital
with,
world, they clearly have not taken mushrooms.
move into
Wouldn't
a
you
digital
think?
world. What do you mean?
Like people, transhumanists, people that really want AI, they really want this technology to and human beings to integrate with the machines. You know, it feels like that's where we're going. But I'm just wondering, like,
I think
those people,
I think AI is like that. If you want to talk about like the ultimate creation of humanity, yeah, we can create people. We can make more people, right?
right? Well,
But to literally create something that is not natural, that doesn't occur, you know, it's not breeding a dog, it's not raising a crop, it's not, you know, this is a complete creation,
yeah,
like from head to toe of like, that's, I don't think you're going to get people to turn off that desire. And now, honestly, I don't think
you think-
anybody
you
will
think
pull back the reins because
psychedelics
the
would
genie's
help
already out of the bottle.
curve that a little bit though.
No, man, I don't think any. I don't.
There's
I just
nothing
don't
you're
think
going to
there's
do to
enough.
stop it. You're right.
People
There's
aren't
not.
altruistic enough to care. Again, this is the whole like, you know.
But if you eat a bunch of mushrooms and go walk around in the forest, you're going to forget about wanting AI to take over pretty quickly.
Oh, again, the
wouldn't you
video of
say?
the British soldiers taking like
I
LSD and trying
know.
to do a simple war training exercise, and they were like trying to feed the
laughing.
birds.
They had
and,
putting flowers in each other's hairs.
yeah. They couldn't find like a base
that's
that
a
was
good one.
downrange like a half a mile in broad view. They couldn't get to it.
No.
Like, so yeah, I know. I mean, that's when they were looking at weaponizing LSD by like dropping it in like aerosol forms over places during war.
Right.
They were going to do that. And then you also have,
Just make people. It's a laugh bomb.
yeah, but then you also have those stories of like, I want to say it was in France, of people eating that bread that had the mold,
Ergot.
ergot,
Yeah,
and everybody was
ergot
like
poisoning.
tripping for like
Well, the
days
witch
or
trials
weeks.
in Salem, they think that was an ergot breakout. You know, when you play
Good grief.
the Witcher video games,
Haven't gotten-
ergot is like one of the hardest in that game, one of the hardest substances to come by. There's only like one guy that'll sell it to you. And pretty much you have to find it on your own
Yeah,
in the world. But that is
I haven't gotten deep enough into that.
it's
game.
the base of LSD. I mean,
Although I
that's
do
they
have-
synthesized Albert Hoffman, which by the way, Bicycle Day on April 19th.
April 19th,
Totally
Bicycle
missed
Day,
that.
Albert
and
Hoffman.
420
Yep.
is always the day after.
Yep, we're a little late.
Yeah, but hey, cheers
Always
to
good
Albert
time.
Hoffman.
Absolutely.
But we got one more.
Yeah, this
I'm
last
sure-
one I thought was hilarious because we're pretty big Bigfoot fans here, but apparently not as big as these fifth graders that got the protection put in place for Bigfoot. This comes from thedailyworld.com. So last year, a group of Lincoln Elementary fifth graders induced Grays Harbor County commissioners to declare a Sasquatch refuge and protection area in the county. Presenting that, should the elusive biped exist, the hairy creature is at risk of extinction given the rarity of interactions with humans. This year, they've done it again. Getting students involved with civics, a subject many curriculums no longer emphasize, was a primary reason Andrews drummed up the lesson she calls Saving Sasquatch. While Lincoln principal Kent Nixon called a beautiful combination of language, arts, science, and civics, it works like this. Through research, classroom conversations, and a persuasive essay, students make their case for whether or not Bigfoot deserves government recognition. It's not until they've hashed out facts and implications of protecting the cryptid creature that they take the matter to the powers that be. The students also said there are an average of 49 Bigfoot sightings a year, and many shared experiences from tall shapes moving in the woods to loud shrieks and knocks. They believe it could have been Sasquatch related. With the signing of Clallam County's proclamation, there are now 4 Washington counties with some kind of Bigfoot-related law. Grays Harbor, which supported the Lincoln students last year, Skamania, which adopted an ordinance protecting Sasquatch in 1969, and Whatcom, which did the same in 1991. a 2018 bill in Washington state legislature proposed to designate Sasquatch as the official state cryptid, but was never passed. Dude, I might move if they get that. Like, if they are the first state with a state cryptid, I might be on a plane.
We got to get on that, dude.
Who doesn't want to live there? What's our state cryptid?
Loveland Frogman.
Is it that?
I'm
or
just
is it
partial.
Is it that or the Grassman?
Minerva Monster, the Grassman,
I'd say the
Loveland
Grassman.
Frogman. Yeah.
Or just
one of
plain old Squatch. Does Squatch ring?
Yeah, I mean, we
ring
have the
connect?
second largest, second most Bigfoot. We have the largest Bigfoot conference in the country here,
That's
which
a good
is
point.
coming up next weekend. If you guys are,
Where's that at?
it's at the Salt Fork State Park.
Oh,
Beautiful, old school lodge out there,
nice. Very cool.
conference center. But it's, yeah, but kind of bummed we're not going to be able to make it. But you should definitely go.
Where are you
we need
going?
to talk about that afterwards.
You got a gig.
We got a gig in Florida, but you should go. Maybe we'll send you and your wife out there with a little budget to go hang out at
Next
Bigfoot
weekend?
conference. Yeah,
Hey,
we'll talk about it after.
yeah, I'll go
But
see some Bigfoots.
Bub might be at Bigfoot conference,
I could be
repping
there.
Strange Road.
I might be there. I won't look like Bigfoot anymore now that I shaved my beard.
But yeah, Bigfoot conference, OhioBigfootConference.com. Go check it out if you guys are interested.
How many days is that?
It's one day, so it's
Just a one-day
simple.
bit?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Saturday.
No.
Next
Hey,
Saturday.
you know what? It would just
It's a
be
beautiful. She gonna be out of
She's gonna
town?
be doing some yoga in Jamaica.
Oh, that's right. That's an
Doing a
amazing
retreat.
opportunity.
Yeah, she's gonna go have some learning experience.
Super cool. There's Tim letting everybody know about Bigfoot conference. Tim is the Bigfoot influencer, and he's going to be out
Put
there.
you at our booth.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling
Maybe I
you,
should go.
Tim knows
Yeah.
everybody out
Hell,
there.
I might as well go for the day. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
be Kevin McAllister anyways, Home Alone.
Yeah,
So I might as well.
do it.
Yeah,
You'll have a great time.
I like Bigfoot.
Get into a little moonshine with the Cryptid Boys,
Are they gonna be there too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I might have.
and I
to do
think
that.
Joel Thomas, Killing Mockingbirds, and
All right.
gosh, I want to say Jeremiah might be coming out.
Really?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of podcasters, and it's going to be
Cool.
a good time. You should
I
go.
might have to do that.
All right, everybody. Bub's
to
going to
rep
be
it.
at Ohio Bigfoot Conference next
have to
year.
go there.
We're going to work it
Yeah.
out so
Sounds like a good
I
time.
can go, and hopefully Stoner can go. But
Yeah.
as we kind of go along, juggling the work that we do in the
Right.
podcast,
Right.
we're going to get better and better at being able to do everything we want to do. We want to do everything.
Yeah, we got a lot.
But
a
again,
lot on
back
our
to the
plates
Mayan
from time.
calendar.
Yeah,
Not
I
enough
know,
time in the day,
I know,
bro.
I know.
Remember when our buddy stood up around the campfire, took off
Burned
his
his
brand new
watch.
watch, tossed his watch in the fire, and said, "Time is a waste of time."
He wasn't wrong. He still wasn't wrong to this day. He wasn't wrong.
He is not wrong.
I was like, man, you make a great point, but my boss is going to want me to show up at a certain time come
Yeah.
Monday.
Well, that's why I'm not a great employee.
Yeah.
Never was.
That's one of my favorite things.
Not.
Showing up late, I'm taking a long lunch, and I'm going to leave early. That's one of the funniest things.
But this has been an awesome, awesome episode. Thanks to everybody hanging out with us in the chat.
Thanks for stopping back in. And we
Yeah.
apologize for needing to take the hiatus, but like Mikey said, you still have to keep things in balance and perspective. But, we'll try to be better and more proactive going
Yeah,
forward, of letting you know of what our periods of downtime will be. And we've also tried to do a good
Yep.
job of just hopefully stocking up some episodes.
And
so
we're
don't
coming
miss that
back with
much.
a fury. Our thing is we live stream everything. So
Yeah.
putting episodes in the can
is not
like
our favorite.
the episode we did with Burton.
Yeah.
When we premiered it was so much fun, dude.
We can do that more.
We need to do that more.
Yeah.
But our episodes that we did, so we did, I don't know, 5 episodes in 2 weeks because we knew we were going to
We
get busy.
Pumped out a bunch, yeah.
And we did the Cryptid Huntress. We did, it started with Burton, then Cryptid Huntress, Ron Holgado,
Yep.
Heather Arnold,
Yep.
Adam Russell. And then we did several strange happenings within
happenings in
that. But we canned a bunch for Apple, Spotify, Google. But we pretty much live streamed all those.
Yeah.
So I like those premiere episodes on YouTube. That's really fun because we
It's
get
fun
to go
because
in
we
there
get
and
to
chat
actually pay
and
attention
hang
to
out
what.
with everybody.
Well, we're a viewer rather than being in the moment of it. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like playing music. Everybody else has a different experience from whenever
You're
I
up there
played
playing,
music.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I'm glad you guys had a great time at the show tonight. Like I had a great time
Yeah.
too, but we both experienced it way differently.
You had a great time entertaining people. They had a great
Yeah.
time being entertained.
Yeah, that's why I used to tell my wife I don't know how to dance because I used to make everybody else dance. And
You're an okay dancer when you get enough wiki in you. Not as good as
Now-
me, but you know, it's okay. We all have different. I can't play guitar and sing, so
Well, there you go. That's why I said it always worked out that I was meant to be on that side of the coin. Okay, Rolo, come on. I see you. Give me the eyes. Let's go.
So yeah, guys, we got a bunch of awesome interviews coming up.
down.
We've got some awesome people booked, so stay tuned. We'll try to be a little bit more active on our social media as well here the next couple weeks, so you guys know what's all coming up.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the hell out of all you guys, everybody listening, watching, all the new members in our Facebook group, anybody that's found their way that way. Thank you. And we're going to sign out another episode of Strange Happenings in the Book. It's good to
books.
be back. And
Rolo's happy
of
about
course,
it.
Rolo is, was a good boy pretty much the entire time.
He's great today.
But he sensed that the show is wrapping up.
He's a good guy.
And as always, thank you to Stoner and Disbro, making everything look and sound.
Keeping everything on
awesome.
track.
Yep. And we're out, guys. Peace.
Later, everybody. Hi, Bubby.